Hello folks, and a very belated Happy New Year, Happy 2025 as we enter into a new growing year. I must say we haven't had the best of starts to the year weather-wise. We've had some really cold weather, wet weather and then cold. I had it down in the greenhouse, it went down to -7 one night, which is now, for inside, it's not too good. However, the stuff what's out here seems to be doing okay. The garlic survived out. Got one or two sprouts left, but then we're more or less added, and one cabbage. As we approach the new growing year, I've been watching a few people on YouTube, and some of them are champing at the bit and already started sowing. I've not done anything yet, although within the next day or two, I'm going to be actually sowing me onions to start with. I was looking around over the last year and the previous years, and gardening, as we know, is a cycle, an annual cycle which goes round. And it's hard to put variety onto when you're doing videos because you're doing more or less the same thing each time of the year. However, I was having to think, and I want to put a bit of change onto the way I produce videos. And I'm still going to be doing what I'm growing and that, but I tend to think once you get established on YouTube, producing videos on a regular basis, you tend to overlook that there'll be new people starting gardening who've got no idea, and where we all started, you got to learn somewhere. And with that in mind, I think I want to add little segments now and again for the absolute beginner. So if you're obviously familiar with gardening, bear with me or skip along, but that's what I'm going to do. And the other thing I want to do is probably have 1 or 2 days out where I visit other gardens, whether it's allotments or national trust sites, and I'll be probably adding them into the thing as well. As I said, the first thing I want to do is start sowing my onions. Normally, I'll put the onions in the propagator. I've got 4 Vitapod heated thermostatically controlled propagators, but with the weather we've been having, the Vitapods will only raise the ambient temperature, the surrounding temperature, by 10 or 12 degrees. So if you're down to -5, -6, that's only taking it up to 4 degrees, which is no good. So rather than disconnect all my stuff in the greenhouse, what I've actually done, I bought a little narrow windowsill by Garland, the 7 little propagators on a heated base, heated but not thermostatically controlled. And I'm going to be using those for starting my onions, peppers, aubergines and stuff like that in the house. So I've got the ambient temperature already in the house. And once then they start showing, I'll probably put them in the big propagator. And this year, I think I'm going to be using my grow lights again. Right, let's crack on. Another thing I'd like to mention is that I saw the video that Brian's Polytunnel actually uploaded announcing the sad loss of another of our community YouTube gardeners, and that's Ronald Shaw and his wife Susan. They passed within a week of each other, and it's a real shocker, that is. I know Susan hadn't been too well for a good while, but Ron, he grew some fantastic veg in very restricted areas and spaces. If you haven't seen any of his videos, get across and have a look. Certainly they'll be missed. Another thing I thought I'd do, especially for the new gardeners around here, is to describe each month jobs and things you can be doing. Now bear in mind, this will depend on where you are located. In the UK, if you're down south in Kent or something, you can have a difference of 4 or 5 weeks to somebody who's grown in the north of Scotland. And so bear in mind, I am based in the centre of England, in the Midlands. So whatever dates and times I say, bear in mind and make the relative adjustments to where you are. And the other thing which proved popular, a number of people contacted me, is a couple of years ago now I started doing a series, Growing Made Easy, where I cover a crop from sowing right to harvest, the way I grow it. And to say that proved popular, I've done a number of things like onions, brassicas and stuff like that. And there are a number of other vegetables I want to cover. I mean celeries, people have been asking about celery. So I do intend to actually produce more of those this year. Anyway, crack on, got more work to do. And so, come to the exciting part, the first sowings of 2025. And keeping with tradition, the first ones for me are always the onions. If you follow the channel regularly, you'll know that I tend to grow the large Kelsey onions as well, but this year I'm giving them a complete miss. Last year I didn't sow any. I bought in plug plants from DT Brown and they grew quite well. But the only problem I find with the large onions is they don't store too good. I think mine kept until late November, early December, and then they started to go a bit squidgy. However, it's a different story with these boys here. Oh, these are this packet here I got. These are called Vento, and these are popular on the show bench with the quality growers in the 250 gram class, although these are not going for show obviously. These have been kept since I pulled them out the ground. I've not even washed them. The dirt on there is just the soil and that, but them rock solid. These are really firm, and that we had 3 boxes of those and we're down to 1, so hopefully they'll last until July when I start to lift the current year's crop. So that's the Vento. And the other onion that I'm growing from seed is the red banana type, and that's called the long red Florence. And as I said, I'll be growing those. I'll start them off in the little propagators. I'll just show you a bit later on. And I'll be doing those in the house just to get them above the compost and then move them out into here. By that time, you can probably see the greenhouse needs a good clear out. And rather than race to get that done, I'm going to do that over a period of a couple of weeks and give it a good disinfecting, which, to be fair, I haven't done that since, well, the greenhouse is about 12 years old now, and I don't think might have done it once, and that's all. So I'm going to give that a good spring clean, get the propagators ready, and then say by the time those are up above the soil, we're ready to go into there. And speaking of soil, normally for my sowings now, for the last 2, maybe 3 years, I've been using my own compost. That's out the worm bin. I've had tremendous results out of that using the sifted soil. I had a bit of sharp sand and it's done wonders. However, this year I'm having real difficulty in drying it out. I've had it out on trays in the greenhouse. I've even put it in one of the Vitapods with the heat on, and it still hasn't do it. I did actually think about putting it into the microwave, but that just ended as I thought. So what I'm doing now, I've got this clover. It's a peat-based compost. Still not found a peat-free compost that I'm happy with. The only one I did find was a company that went out of business, and that was Bathgate with Champions Blend. So I'm going to use this clover peat compost. I'm going to give it a sieving and do the sowing in there. Right, let's crack on. So this is the clover compost. I've sieved it 3 times. There's still 1 or 2 lumps in. That's the mesh that I've put it through. It's quite a fine mesh, and so it's gone through 3 times. And the shiny bits in there, I've added some sharp sand in there and just mixed it in. So I'm going to use that for my sowing mixture, and so they're going into these little quarter seed trays. I'll just give it a little tap down to settle the compost, remove any big lumps you can see. And I like to give mine just a slight firming with this bit of wood. And one thing I always do with my seeds when I'm sowing, I like to have them on a damp surface, so I just tend to give them a light moistening and sow direct onto that. Just spread them as evenly as you can across the surface. I've actually done 2 trays, and I'll be picking the best out and probably give the others away if anybody wants them. By spreading them out now, it makes it a lot easier when it comes to actually pricking them out, because they're not competing in the soil with each other. One final job is to just give them a covering. I tend to use vermiculite, but you can of course use sifted soil as well. If you're wondering what that little shovel thing is using, it's just a plant label folded in half, and I find it's an ideal tool, especially for sowing fine seeds as well. With the vermiculite on the top now, all I do is give it a little tamping down just to make sure it's got contact with the seeds below. If you can hear a little ticking noise in the background, I've got my diesel heater on, so that's where it is. What I'll do now is put these into a water bath, give them a soak for 5 minutes, and you'll actually see the change colour on the top of the surface. For the new growers that's joining the channel, welcome. And I say I do have a video in my Growing Made Easy series which shows how I grow onions right from sowing the seed up to harvest. I'll put a link in the description below. Another sowing to consider for this time of the year. I'm going to be looking at the chilli and the capsicums, the peppers. Now I've got a 16 stage wicking system that I built here that I just use for peppers. I'm going to have 8 just for the California Wonder, and the other 8 I'm going to be a mixed variety, mainly capsicums, but I'm just growing one chilli this year, and that's going to be the jalapeno. Sown exactly the same as we've just seen with the onions, except that these need a slightly higher temperature for germination. I'll still put them in the strip propagator until the onions start showing, and then by then the greenhouse should be cleaned out. I can bring then the capsicums and the chilli into here and whack the temperature up around about 20-22 degrees. And there we have the capsicum sown. As I say, I only need about 8-10 plants at the max, but if you ever sow the right number of seeds that you need, Sod's Law says they won't all germinate, so that will allow for a bit of misfire. I've topped it off now with a layer of vermiculite. For those that are not aware of it, vermiculite you can buy it in different grades, different thicknesses, sizes. I buy the finest grade available, and then I run this through a little blender. It's one of these I got from one of the budget shops like Lidl or Aldi, and I find it like that, you get really good germination, and it does give a good wicking as well with it being so fine. Next thing I'm going to be sowing is my sweet peas. Now I've had these in soak probably about 6 hours, just put them in water. Anything with a hard shell that I grow I tend to soak, and I find that it softens the shell enough and it aids the roots to come out a bit easier. They'll obviously germinate without doing that, but it's something I tend to do. These are the sweet peas that I had from a guy, another YouTuber, Andy, in memory of his late mum, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I saved the seeds and still going strong. You can actually sow these in the autumn, but these were still on the plant. I'd left them out there, and I've only just picked these about October and bought them in, shelled them, and I'm ready to go again. What I grow them in is these trays here. These are from a company called Westland, from the Gro-sure range called the Visiroot 4-cell trays. And I find these better than the actual Agroland root trainers. First of all, the locking system for the cells is much better, I find, and also it's got a flat bottom on there, so they'll actually stand up on their own, whereas the root trainers have got a tapered bottom. So 4 cells in a tray. I'll be putting 6 cells down and probably 2 seeds in each. Just like any pot we fill in with soil, give it a little tap to get rid of any air pockets. And that's ready for sowing. I'll just bob a few holes in each cell, probably around about 3 centimetres deep, and then drop a seed in each one. If I've got any spare seed left, I'll probably put 3 seeds in. A little gentle water on the top with some rainwater I've had in the greenhouse. That just collapses the holes and seals the seeding. And probably they get no more water now until them up and above the soil. 8 of these will just fit nicely into a standard sized seed tray. So I've put a couple of blanks on each end. And to finish it off, I'm going to just pop a little propagator lid on the top. And that'll just help keep a bit more heating. And so this is the propagator setup. So it's made by a company called Garland, and it's called the Super 7 electric windowsill propagator. I've got no association with Garland at all. I bought this out of my own money. Looking on the internet, it was Amazon was £45, but delving a bit further, I saw it in B&Q for £39. Unfortunately, my wife had got a little £6 voucher, so I put that on and got it for a total of £33. So it is electrically heated at the base, but there's no thermostat, so you do have to keep an eye on what temperature it's at. It's only, I think it's 18 watts, so it's hardly using any power at all, but you can certainly feel the heat coming out of the base. And so what I've done, I've actually put it on the box it came in, sat it on there, because a propagator giving off heat, it will actually draw heat into whatever it's sitting on. That's why in the greenhouse I actually use the insulated mat underneath there to stop the heat dissipating out too quickly. And a bit of extra insulation I've got, I've just put a bit of bubble wrap which I'll pull over the top, tuck the sides down, and that keeps a bit more heating. I think this might prove to be a blessing in disguise. Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be seeing the seedlings starting poking their heads up above the soil, and by that time I should have the propagators ready in the greenhouse, ready to accept them into the new homes. If you're new around there, new to the channel, thanks for stopping by and watching. If you like what you see, consider hitting the thumbs up and clicking the subscribe button, ring that bell. And also leave a comment and introduce yourself, let me know where you're from. It's always nice to get the first video planting done for the season. As you can see, I've got the labels on now and just starting the master list. And say for the new viewers around here, I have got a system which I find works for me. There's a few other people got very similar systems on the internet and all, if you have a look. But you might want to have a look at these two videos up here, which explains both my listing and also a simple to follow seed sowing database. Until next time, thanks very much for watching. See you later, and bye for now.